All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's see, we should be good to go in the Moxie room. I believe everything is recording there and good to go. And then also on Restream in the YouTube and X and Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. So I'm on my laptop. I usually have 3 screens. I'm down a screen because I forgot a cable, but I will be fixing that later today. So I've just got a few things I'll be juggling today. Hopefully that all works out. So I will Moxie room checking the comments, but those of you out there, yeah, there we go. Nice, Esquire. Good to see you. But out there on YouTube and X and Facebook, be sure to drop any comments or questions if you guys want. Okay, so yeah, looks like we're good to go in the Moxie room. And as you guys can see here, I'm going to be having a webinar that I'm going to be putting on this Thursday, obviously talking about account growth. We've had some kind of going back and forth with the team, but yeah, 420% is one of the accounts that I got up to in 6 months. So that's been fun. Of course, we've been seeing it's been a very strong market. I have another account that is stock only, and it was up 300%. So yeah, having a good time out there. And then we've been seeing some chaos with the market recently. As we know, Friday was a huge day down. Today we've got a gap down. And fortunately, by Thursday, I'll probably have enough data with the market that I can actually start giving you guys a little bit more guidance as to what I'm seeing and start dialing all this in, especially those of you out there on the social medias. If you are new to what I've been saying or hearing me, go check out some of my recent YouTube videos, Profit Pilot YouTube. And I've been talking about looking for this kind of drop or pullback or some weakness for the last couple weeks. And we've been seeing this coming. So I want to show you guys what that looked like so that you can be better prepared in the future if we ever get this. Get this again, which, we will. Markets are cyclical and never go straight up. And then also kind of like, where do we go from here? So I'm going to be dialing some of that in also. Let me make sure everything's still good to go for you guys. Yeah, Joe Schmo. Yeah. You kind of look around X and Twitter and whatever else out there, and you can see a lot of other people have been having success. So I've been able to capture that pretty well also. Don't forget, I had that 2,060% trade at the very bottom of the tariff tantrums, and so that really helped a lot of things. And then, yeah, as far as this market goes, I just wanted to make sure that, we're still in a bull market. Obviously, things don't go straight up. And we had this huge drop on Friday. And I think that really put a lot of questions for some traders out there. Of course, we still have a lot of bears kind of talking out there. And they're like, oh my God, this is finally it. And oh, okay, this was going to start everything. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think that we need to digest this and we'll kind of see where it might go. We'll probably need to do some resting anyway. But as far as today goes, we bought the market. So that's what we did in the Moxie room today. Could have been a little bit more aggressive this morning on the low. Again, I am on my laptop. I got 4 hours of sleep last night because we didn't get we didn't get to sleep until 2 o'clock local time and had to wake up at 6. So yeah, a little short on sleep. But what I'm seeing in through here is that the market dropped. We got a double bottom. So this is pretty nice. We got a gap down into a double bottom right on, if we look here, let me get my drawing tool, right into the daily 50 SMA. Okay, so you can see that. And yeah, I think for now, we're going to see about getting a little bit of a bounce. I still think that this is a moving target. I don't know if you guys can just absolutely go completely by this market and say, oh yeah, we're definitely going higher. We're in an area of elevated volatility and we're not totally to the upside yet. For those of you in the Moxie room, I do want to point out, actually, I need to get my Camtasia up here. That is why I don't have a drawing tool. Just give me 2 seconds here. But yeah, what I'm seeing is yesterday's bounce went right up into the hourly 21 EMA, which is very, very common. If I really zoom in on this, those of you who follow my teachings and what I show, you can see here that right smack into the hourly 21. What do we call that? That would be the arch of the foot. And you can see here also on the 15. And those of you, again, in the Moxie room, I was posting about this morning. I was giving you guys examples of how we know if things are ready to go back up from a move down or from a pullback. That is why yesterday I said, hey, it's really kind of inconclusive. Of course, there are some tickers that are still doing very well out there, great. But as far as the market or the SPX, yesterday I said, nope, not enough information. I'm not willing to put on a trade yet. And go figure, there we go. This today we got dropped down. And so that really helps solidify everything that I've been talking about for the last 3 days with the SPX and what we're expecting in through here. But and that's why now here's the leg, here's the heel, there's the arch of the foot. I'm looking at that as the ball of the foot. And now I want to see if we actually start getting price to come up a little bit. As I said, even though I'm looking for an up move right now, that does not necessarily mean we're done going down. Okay, we might have, I think we need to take this piece by piece. We need the market to continue to confirm one way or another, and this could just be a bear flag. We could go up for a few days, run right into resistance, and we could roll over even further. Okay, we are still in an area and a time where we have some market volatility, and there could be some stuff happening out there. But yeah, Joe and Esquire, you guys, anybody else in YouTube, X Book, yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to, even check out my X page, because I put it out there on, I think it was either October 8th or October 9th. I think it was October 8th. I gave a heads up about market volatility, and I said, be careful, prepare, tighten things up, protect yourself. And I gave a little warning out there. And then 2 days later is when we got the market just dropping hard. So yeah, I try to make sure everybody stays safe out there. But anyway, this morning we put on a put credit spread. You can see the line right there is where I put it on. As I said, it could have been a little bit sooner this morning, but I'm traveling, so a little challenging. But right now, looks to me like we're going to start getting over the 15-minute 50, and I'm looking for follow through to the upside for the next few days. We'll see what that kind of looks like. And so we did that put credit spread. Andrew, I think you kept your, what did you do? Call debit spread for November. That should probably be doing pretty well. I have a feeling that's going to work out nicely for you. I do think it was a good thing maybe you got rid of your October one, because even even because it's a call debit spread, even though we might come up to the hourly 50, it may not really go very fast. We might get, like, imagine what if the 50 comes down like this, and that's as high as we go. And so your call debit spread probably for October 17th probably wouldn't do very well. It would do better if maybe we come up like that in a few days, but that's what we don't know. And that's kind of the risk to reward balance that you have to do. So I think, yeah, giving yourself some time, heck, maybe even doing a calendar. If you were maybe, I think you and I were talking about this on, gosh, Friday, probably a little early on Friday. Maybe you could think about it now, but if you did a calendar to where you maybe sold somewhere the 66.50, you sold that call and you bought a November call, that might work out, because the price just kind of comes here. Your sold one will lose value while your longer one will do all right. So there's another idea, another concept. All right, as far as other things out there that were kind of help guiding us for this market this morning, the IWM, we're actually seeing some rotation. Nvidia down, the FANG stocks were down, but look at the IWM and look at the RSP. They're doing pretty well today. And bear with me for the slowness here on my laptop and on hotel Wi-Fi. But yeah, you can see here we had a gap down this morning, and look at the IWM just bought right back up. So that was another little indication that we could be doing okay this morning. Again, I still want to caution that we are not out of the woods yet. Okay, just because the market comes up today or this week does not mean we are out of the woods yet. It might, but we can't confirm it yet. So still be nimble. There could still be possibilities of market lower. And it's just too early to say anything. But I do also want to point out part of the reason why I was prepared for the market to pull back, as it turns out Friday, didn't know it was going to be Friday, but I knew it was going to be sometime soon, is you look here, you have the IWM over the hourly 50. Notice how the Moxie indicator is below 0. That is what I call an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 SMA if the Moxie indicator is below 0. That was something that was standing out for me for a few days. We have been talking about this inside of the Moxie room. So again, those of you out there on the social medias and stuff, if you've never seen me talk about this before, or you're like, wow, that's kind of interesting, wish I knew about that sooner, you got to come into the Moxie room. That's where I discuss it every day. I'm on the mic for at least an hour every day, and was definitely pointing that out for a week, because that's when it showed up. All right, let me then also look at the RSP. And this is the equal weight of the S&P. Get it going here. And what we should see is, it's not nearly as strong as the IWM as far as its bounce back. But what I want you to see is actually things might be a little bit oversold for today or for this week. And as I can get this to get loaded, what we can kind of see here is even it actually looks like the S&P, but it actually looks a little bit more developed. So what I'm seeing in through here is price is way down here. Well, where are some of the moving averages? Way up here. And just remember, generally, price doesn't like to be too far away from moving averages. And right now, I'm seeing a huge gap between price and the moving average. And then now that we've had more time go by, especially with this morning's drop, look what we have. We actually have a higher low. You can call it a double bottom, but it's also a higher low. And as I posted about this morning in the Moxie room, what is price doing? It's finally able to get over and get past the kind of the first line in the sand, which would be the 15-minute 50. And that's what I'm seeing. And we're seeing our normal elf shoe configuration here on the hourly chart. And so that's why I'm looking at for price to probably fill the gap, something like that, over the next few days. Now, also remember we have OPEX on Friday. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to see what's going to happen on Friday. Maybe there's a certain target, and we probably need to start looking into, I don't know, either max pain. Does anybody have that number? Or if we're looking at gamma, spot gamma, gap exposure, if we can see where the most amount of option, I have a feeling, let me go back to the SPX since we've covered this. I have a feeling that it might be around 6,700 because 6,700 has been a big level. And if we can get a little bit of a bounce, I could see 6,700 happening in a hurry. 6480, no, that's not really what I that's the other direction. Andrew, I don't want to see 6480 quite yet. I could be okay with 6480 next week. But if we could avoid 6480 this week, that would be nice, please. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for a bear flag bounce, something like that to the upside. Let's see. Yeah, so max pain 6480. I mean, anything's possible, but I'm hoping that's not. Yeah, let's see if we can go up before we go down. Okay, 6480 next week. I'm totally fine with that, but not this week. But yeah, if we can get 64, if we get around 6,700, you guys notice that the hourly 50 is about there. Of course, that moving average moves, and so I'm seeing that. Yeah, Robbie, let's see, Gex at 6,700 and 6,600. Yeah, that also seems like a pretty normal range. Here we are, 6,600, and then 6,700. Now, Robbie, is that for today? Because I have heard Captain Condor is back for today, and so I could see Captain Condor putting on some 100-point wide spread for the day, and that would also make a lot of sense for Friday. Okay, actually, that's great. I like seeing that. Yeah, because if it's for Friday and we're seeing 6,700, yeah, I'd be okay with that. Oh, hey, Savito Trader. Let me double check. You're the one that was commenting on my X post just the other day. Was that the kind of rude comment that I were talking about? Just want to make sure I'm talking with the same person. If so, cool. Glad to see you over here. And yeah, hopefully I can kind of warm you up a little bit to the way I trade and how I markets. But yeah, that's Esquire. So you've been following me for years. Had to quit your Moxie room because of work, but I use it all the time and love it. FOMO Baggins from Birmingham. Oh, nice, dude. FOMO Baggins. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Great name though. Great name. Very unique and very memorable. So thanks for reaching out and letting me know who's who out there. Joe, yes, the Moxie room does cost money. However, we are running a special this month. The Moxie indicator is the indicator of the month. So, whoop-de-doo, I guess I get a free parking spot for the month or something like that. And, but yeah, we're running some specials. I've got the webinar that's coming up on Thursday. So if you want to check out the webinar, see what I'm going to be talking about market-wise, the trades we've been taking, some guidance and all that, and then you can get some deals for that. But yeah, the Moxie indicator is my main tool, and yeah, I just love it. I mean, really, the big thing here This was a clue, and I was on the mic Friday morning talking about this, being like, "This is crazy. This shouldn't be happening. Why is the market up?" Then I went and got breakfast. I came back, and not 10 or 15 minutes later, the market started to roll over. So it was right there. Yeah. Oh, nice. The Veto Trader. Yeah, you've been watching Taylor and then just found me. Well, I guess that's how social media works and how we get connected. So great to have you on board. Keep in touch. We'll see you out on the X platform, and yeah, maybe one of these days we'll also see you into the Moxie room. We're having a good time there. Lots of engagement. We're doing this thing we call the Moxie Mutual Fund. Which, speaking of which, when I get off of you with the social media guys, I'll stay with the Moxie room and we'll pick two more stocks. I got to be kind of quick though because I have to head out today. Let's see. Where else do we go? Oh, I wanted to talk about Emil. You were talking about Nail. Now, I think a lot of our traders from Simpler are at the Money Show, I believe, in Florida. I think that's, yeah, where it's happening. So it looks like you're still sticking around. That's cool. I think Nail is a combination. I know that a lot of people have been talking about how recently, over the last, I don't know, month or so, maybe, yeah, month and a half, Nail has been pulling back really, really hard, even in the face of rate cuts actually happening. And I think people are looking at it like, oh my gosh, the housing area is really in bad shape. And maybe, look, I don't know these things for sure, but I'm trying to talk about this idea. And people saying like, wow, even rate cuts aren't keeping this up. However, let me actually reframe this because I think what happened, let me get this thing switching over here. I think Nail already had the move for anticipating rate cuts. So remember, buy the rumor, sell the news. I think that's what's happened here. Now, that doesn't mean it's over. I think actually there could be another trade here. But this move right here that actually happened May, June, July, and ran up for quite some time, that was the move up in anticipation. And you would notice that once we actually got rate cuts is when Nail actually started coming down. That also coincided with Nail perfectly running up into this resistance here on the weekly chart and also running right into a downtrending weekly 50 SMA. So all these combinations, I think it was a run up on anticipation and then also ran right into these moving averages. Now, the fact that price actually dropped and pulled back here, I think is into a level. And I think that this could actually be the pullback buy because if Nail or let's say housing or just housing in general, if housing actually starts to firm up again because interest rates are coming down and things are kind of picking up in general, I think that this would ultimately be the pullback buy. I think that's what's going to be happening here. So if you guys are interested in trading Nail for this particular ticker or even just watching this sector, I wouldn't count it out. I really wouldn't count it out. I think this is actually the counter trend thing that you guys need to be paying attention to. If you look at the daily chart, we have a positive, called it the golden cross. We actually have the 50 crossing over the 200. Typically, that's bullish. So I would certainly watch that. I think this is just a pullback. And if you look here at the hourly chart, and again, those of you out on YouTube and X that are watching me, and maybe you're new to the Moxie indicator, it's these things I'm about to show you that really make the Moxie indicator useful and help communicate what's actually happening in the market. I'll point out a couple things. First of all, notice the double bottom back here. Notice how the Moxie indicator made a higher low. There's your positive divergence. Notice right here how you had the Moxie price trigger fire perfectly right as price started to move back up, and that was the beginning of that trend. You could even see that here on the daily chart. There's your fire. There's your double bottom. There's your positive divergence. And when price started to get back over the 50, boom, there's your trade. Okay, so those are two examples to then lead you into the next example that I want you to see. And this is part of why I'm saying you need to be watching this. And here's price down. Notice how we now have a higher low on the Moxie indicator. And I can now start to say something is showing up because you can see here the Moxie indicator is actually green. Okay, if it was still red, we couldn't use anything. But the fact that it's green means I think you should start paying a lot of attention to this. So I think that we have a lower low, higher low. We're starting to see some positive divergence. I think that there could actually be something here on Nail. Okay, maybe a little too early right now, but I think we should keep an eye on it. Yeah, see, Emil, you've heard that people need better cuts due to many already having low rate mortgages they don't want to lose. Yes, that's always possible too. But I think people with the expectation that rate cuts are coming, can also start buying things or get the housing market going ahead of that. I think that is also why Nail is starting to get ahead of the market because it knows that there are multiple rate cuts coming. And so it's starting to work its way higher. And then we'll just have to see how connected the actual economy is from the stock market economy. Civito Trader, how did I create the Moxie indicator? Gosh, well, I had been following a trader for my mentor for 3 years, and it just the way she was looking at things, she was very much of a, you could say like a musician for the stock market, and I needed something more like an engineer, and so I had to just break out on my own. I started testing indicators and getting my hands dirty and just practicing with these things, and I started working with a programmer to help translate my ideas into an indicator. And then that's how we came with the Moxie indicator. And then I looked at it and was like, wow, this is actually working. And so we kind of came up with a few different iterations, a couple different tools, and then I refined it. And now I have the Moxie indicator and I haven't changed it for years. Okay, this is my tried and true indicator and it just works. All right, it just works for me. Let's see. Jabira, as far as natural gas, I don't think that there's anything, last I checked, really going on with UNG. I'll look at this real quick and see what's happening. If you can bear with the internet, it's a little bit slow. And then Joshmo, let's see, APO, KKR, BX. I don't know if there's much happening with those, or at least not that I follow, but I'll look at them real quick here. Yeah, natural gas, I know there's a lot of idea about it potentially going up and needing it, but I mean, I think that there's so much supply coming online that even though there's a lot of demand, I'm not so sure. Yes, it's kind of found an area, maybe it will start working, but if I'm going to look at something like this, I'm going to have to wait for price to actually get back over the daily 50 and engage with that daily 50. Right now, it's still kind of chopping around. So it's a big maybe, but I wouldn't be super interested in going after natural gas. I'm just not sure that the bullish case is there. So maybe I don't know anything about it, but I'm not super interested about that. All right, let's see APO real quick. Oh, Civ EDO. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you're a civil engineer. Yes, I am a mechanical engineer. I started at University of Arizona, down to U of A in Tucson, then finished at ASU. And then basically went off into finance and did my own thing. But yeah, I got a mechanical engineering degree. Let's see. Yeah, APO. Yeah, same kind of deal. These things are kind of in a pullback. I'm not really sure I see much here. There's the possibility of a double bottom, but there's really not much here yet on the hourly chart. This is just a bounce. And in fact, Joe, if you look at a name that I'm in, it's Dutch Brothers. You can see we're kind of in the same situation. And Dutch Brothers is one of my few now that is just not behaving, and we're behind it. I do have a leap on it, so I'm not too torn up about it. If I had $50,000 worth of equity or stock on this thing, yeah, I'd be a little bit more upset, and I would have gotten out much sooner because I was treating my stock differently than my options on this one. My leap options, because I have so little capital on it, I kind of was like, oh, let's just check back later and see what happens. And it got away from me. But you can see here that Dutch Brothers is also at a double bottom, and you can see here also just starting to bounce. We don't really have enough information here. That's what I'm trying to say about APO and Dutch Brothers. Yes, they have bounced. They bounced because they came into prior support. Is that actually going to follow through? Don't know. We're going to have to keep watching and waiting and seeing if price engages with something like the hourly chart and if it can go higher. Okay, so it's kind of a big maybe. I don't have too much to work with. Savito, yeah, you have a degree in biomedical. Yeah, I do. Yes, I would agree. It is funny where the world takes you. I can't tell you how many people I know who've pursued a certain degree and then they end up in a completely different field, actually. But hey, at least we've learned things in the time and it's taken you someplace. And yeah, life is full of twists and turns. Okay, let me wrap up with you guys out on the social medias. Remember, I'm going to be putting on the webinar this Thursday. I want to say I don't know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? It's 5 o'clock someplace. So depending on your time zone, it's at 5 o'clock. But yeah, go check it out. Sign up on YouTube or Simpler Trading. Make sure you guys get the registration links, all that kind of stuff. Got a lot I want to talk about. I'm going to continue working on the presentation this week since it's been such a moving target with the market finally pulling back. And then I want to see where this thing goes from there. Okay, so I'm going to sign off on the social medias. Those of you in the Moxie room, hang on with me. We're going to talk about a few more stocks and add to the Moxie Mutual